said he's just a friend.
Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new edition of Getting Color right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. And I am Virtue, the debate king of no DQ, the troll slayer of Twitter, being joined by the man himself, Big Vito LaGrasso. What's up, man?
How is everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody's having a great weekend. I hope everybody's settled in. I hope they got their pool in. I hope they got their gym in. I hope they got their laundry in. Margaritas seem to be the drink of the weekend. Virtue, can you elaborate on anything?
Well, I mean, there was this local place called Compadres. Now, I went there to eat Mexican food, which was fantastic. Right. And I had a soda. I didn't drink anything. But the person that I went with, she had a double margarita.
Double? Wow.
Double. It was huge. I took a sip of it. It was okay. It was good.
No. You have to say it was fabulous because I already knew that the person you were with was having this margarita.
Yes.
So just to let you know, happy hour.
Yeah. It's like a teaser for MOB, so maybe you'll get some more information on that.
Maybe.
Margarita.
But on another note, what is something big? Aaron Riff not posting any love pictures. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, maybe he's taking a back seat to me and giving me a push with the strap. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. I told you that on one of the comments on Facebook.
Now, do you think that there is trouble in paradise after Rift Estates?
No, I don't. I think they're like an old married couple already.
Really?
But they're not married yet. But
oh my God, that's going to be something. Jeff Meacham is going to be front row for that one, and he'll probably bring his closet.
Interesting though, because I don't know how long he can keep it up. He loves those nature pics, so
I don't know. All right, Virgil, we have an action-packed week. I got some things to say. Okay. Tell me what you got going on. Hit me with the first topic of today.
All right. Well, the first one, and I'm going to save the best for last, right? We got to have a main event. But let's get this right out of the gates here. WWE just announced that SummerSlam will be held at Allegiant Stadium or whatever it's called, the Raiders place, the Dome, the stadium in Las Vegas. And it's going to be 70+ thousand people, which would be the biggest SummerSlam crowd of all time. So they obviously are getting back to live crowds, and they want this SummerSlam to feel like WrestleMania. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that now that the pandemic is dwindled down, if everybody is going to be good with it, I'm all for it. Good luck to the WWE and having SummerSlam at the Raiders Stadium. I hope they put an action-packed card on that make the people want to go to this event.
Now, we're going to come back to this and what could possibly be a main event. Now that they're going to be in a stadium like this, right? 70+ thousand seats.
Right.
It's going to tie into one of our topics later on why they did some things. And maybe we'll come back to SummerSlam being here is to try to close the gap of speculation. So,
okay.
We'll come back to that in a few, but that's going to be very interesting. But again, I think the biggest SummerSlam I remember growing up, they did one over in Wembley Stadium, which is it's an open air stadium, but it's not quite like the bigger football stadiums over here. But this one is going to be bigger than that, Vito. So we will have to see. All right.
I hope it's a great event. I hope. Yeah. I mean, people love wrestling. People want to see quality. The WWE is going to this big stadium. There's going to be 70,000 screaming people looking to be happy. I hope they can fulfill everybody's dream in there. We have Crapifaction. I think that's it. I think I said it right. What up, everybody?
What's up? So, Vito,
right, go ahead.
We'll see. Now, we talked about last week, AEW just loves nabbing up wrestlers that are released by WWE. Mark Henry's over there now. You know, he's obviously a Hall of Fame type veteran. Actually, he is in the Hall of Fame. And then Leo Rush is on a handshake deal. Guess who bopped in there this week? Andrade.
I saw Andrade go in there.
So here's the thing. We've talked about them adding so many people with a bloated roster. Now, we know they're going to have all kinds of – they have a new show coming up. They got YouTube. So I want your thoughts to elaborate on, is this going to keep happening? Are they going to keep signing wrestlers? And then more importantly, how does this affect Charlotte over in the WWE?
Well,
Beyonce.
guys, let's put it this way. When the hen leaves the roost, the chickens follow along. With Rusev, he left, went to AEW. I expect Lana to be there because I think the both of them are going to be money there.
Yep.
John Moxley, when he left, his wife left soon after. They gave her a non-compete clause, but they paid her to stay home and stay out of there for a year. I expect her to follow along. Charlotte Flair has not been used correctly on WWE TV for some time. She has been taking a lot of time off for personal reasons, physical reasons, health reasons. And this is incurred during the time Andrade was taken off TV, being put on the sideline, and has been irrelevant to WWE people. Now that he is a free agent, hello, coach. Now that he is a free agent and now signed with the AEW, the person I think we need to watch come over is Ric Flair, not Charlotte. Because if Rick comes over, you know Charlotte is going to follow. So I don't think it's going to be Charlotte to follow. I think Ric Flair is going to follow.
That's very interesting. So with Andrade over there and Flair, he still needs to make money at this point in his life because I know he spent a lot of it. So I don't know what his relationship is with WWE, but they obviously, ever since the Lacey Evans got pregnant, they basically took Rick off TV. So he's not getting paid, right, if he's not on TV. That's very interesting if he ends up showing up in AEW. And then maybe when it's time for Charlotte's contract in WWE to be over, she jumps ship. Never say never. Tony Khan is willing to spend money.
Yes, and now you have Daniel Bryan sitting at home. You don't know what his deal is. Brock Lesnar is sitting at home. You don't know what his deal is. I think the biggest shock that would happen is if Brock Lesnar showed up on AEW TV. That would be a bonanza. That would be
huge. And there's some things WWE has recently done that we're going to get into here shortly. And that Brock Lesnar's names it'll be brought back up for sure. You're calling AEW. I still don't see that with Brock. But some interesting developments have happened this past week, Vito. And guess what? The cuts continue. And I wonder if there'll be more. Now, you and I both know WWE has a bloated roster. They signed up everybody when AEW was a new thing, just trying to lock them in.
Right.
I think once they felt AEW was not going to be a threat, and whatever Nick Khan is doing for WWE to maybe position themselves for future a sale or whatever, which we'll talk about in the main event. There's been a lot of releases, Vito. Guess what? This past week, Santana Garrett, don't know much about her. She was an indie girl, indie talent, signed to NXT. She's gone. Ruby Riott, gone.
That was the biggest shock of all because she's the one who had the most potential, and Santana Garrett never got off the.
So we'll do these in clusters. What's your thoughts here so far with these releases, Santana Garrett and Ruby Riott? We'll do these in clusters so you can elaborate on each one.
All right. I wanted to ask here because it said, did you guys see Zack Ryder at the GCW death matches? Anybody?
Yeah, getting involved with Nick Gage. Like, come on, Zach. Like, you go from WWE to mixing it up with deathmatch guys. Like, I don't know. Not a fan of it.
Not a fan of it. Okay. Those two ladies we talked about, I think if they went to the AEW roster, that elevates their women's division head and shoulders. That gives Britt Baker, their champion, some new people to play with because they just put Nyla Rose with her again. Now, I think that even just to say this, those two girls can wrestle. They're not slouches. They're good-looking girls. They have something, right?
Yeah.
I think them going to AEW elevates them, gives them, they're seasoned a little bit more than the AEW girls. Because you guys got to remember, AEW girls, they're giving them a chance to hone their craft and work on their skills on the lower shows. A lot of the girls don't have the experience because they never went to NXT. There's not really that many territories, not too many 2B places to go. That's not a knock against anybody. That's just saying what the wrestling industry is right now. So with those two releases, I expect them to go over there. For sure. I think if they drop to Impact, and this is not a disrespect to Impact, I think if they went to the AEW, I think they're right on top of the food chain.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I mean, really, when people leave WWE now, it's either, I mean, you think Impact or AEW. I mean, yeah, there's people that can go and do stints over New Japan. Ring of Honor is still a thing, and there's other smaller indie feds. But when you think, hey, where are they going next? You think Impact and AEW. So guess what? Lana is now cut by WWE. What happens with Lana?
Lana
Heroes in AEW.
Now, I just got to say, the treatment she got.
Remember all those table spots?
Guys, and that's another thing about having relationships. When you have something and your partner leaves, right? They take it out on you. Now, Lana, I give her 150% credit. Lana, if you ever listen to the show, I applaud you. You did your job. I know you lived over by NXT and you stayed there during the pandemic to be close. I know you were ready and available to keep your job and do what you had to do. Congratulations to you, because there's not too many people like us who will give their right arm to do what needs to be done in the wrestling business. Now, her leaving, terrible. Her husband leaving, that was terrible. They should have kept them both. But because, you know what started it all? It started when they revealed their relationship, that they got engaged, if everybody remembers. And that's when the downward spiral happened. Mm-hmm. And even when they tried to bury Rusev, and he got over with Rusev Day, and he got over with Aiden English, and he got over during all this time with Bobby Lashley, I wasn't a fan of that whole concept, because you're talking about someone's marriage, you're talking about interracial, you're talking about something that's supposed to be sacred. It's just some things you do and some things you don't do, you know? And I think it was more of an embarrassment. Once Miro left, the table spots, they did give her a championship match, but it doesn't repair the damage that they did to her. She's going to go over to AEW if she does.
That, I think it's a for certainty with Miro. I think that's a definite going to happen.
I hope so. I hope good things for her. You know another girl who doesn't get a chance and has been in the realm down there? Dana Brooke. Yeah. That girl has changed her look, changed her style, learned how to wrestle, has become very adequate in the ring, and she doesn't get over the hump in the WWE. If she went anywhere else, she would be a 5-star champion.
That's a good point. Now, we're not done with releases yet. This one, Aleister Black. Now, normally, Vito, I would have been like, okay, they hadn't used him for a long time. But, and he's married to Zelina Vega. We know what happened to her. I guess those rumblings are her maybe returning. Obviously didn't come to fruition because, as far as I know, she is not back in WWE. But he is now gone. Here's the strange thing. They had him, like they were doing stuff with him on TV the last several weeks, over a month. And he came out and actually attacked Big E. And then, boom, cut. To me, that shows a lot of disorganization, that you're going to cut a guy that you just pushed again on TV or started to. What is your take on Aleister Black?
Guys, I just finished explaining. If things don't go good with the spouse, they get rid of you. My assumption is she didn't re-sign with the WWE. They washed their hands of it, and they said, okay. As far as Aleister Black goes, right? Some people are good for Raw, some people are good for SmackDown, and some people just need to stay at NXT. He should have stayed at NXT because he really didn't have a vibe on either brand. From what the gatherings are, I don't know personally. I'm going from hearsay. he was a bit of a pain in the ass in the back. So if you're going to be a pain in the ass, they're going to get rid of you, right? There's a certain way to go about trying to get in your ear and try to do things. But being a pain in the ass, I'm not saying you were. I'm not saying that you are. I'm just saying that's the rumblings. I actually dig your stuff. I thought that you were good to be on the brand. I thought you should have stayed at NXT because that's where they had your vibe. That was where you had your groove. And a lot of guys miss it and they get junked on. You know, you look at Otis. Okay? They put him in that angle. He wins the Money in the Bank, loses the Money in the Bank. They make a jerk out of him. He has a feud with his partner. He's in love. He's not in love. Now he's just floating.
Yep.
In the middle. He didn't know what to do with his day.
Released, to be honest with you.
Surprised he wasn't released. And when he should have been concentrating on his push, he was doing TikToks with Nia Jax instead of concentrating on his craft.
TikToks with Nia Jax. It used to be one of your favorite segments on the show. I haven't seen much lately. I don't know if she stopped doing it or
she's doing them.
I'm just not paying attention.
I'm not even commenting on them.
Now, here's the big one. He just had a match at WrestleMania, a cage match, and he went over Shane McMahon. Now, going into that feud, they were kind of, you were bullied and you're dumb, brawn. So that was kind of weird. But they let him go over Shane, and now he's cut. Braun Strowman and Vito. You said it, man. He blew up against Brock Lesnar a couple years ago, and the man has never been the same with management since. Thoughts on Braun Strowman, former WWE Undisputed Champion and now ex-employee?
Well, guys, I see a thing here. Selena Vega to AEW to work with Andrade, and then the husband, Aleister Black, tags along. Could be.
There you go.
Could be.
I mean, it's all AEW. That's what everybody's talking about when wrestlers get
guys,
cut.
I think, I lost my train of thought here.
Well, we were talking about Braun, okay?
Braun, okay.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman. Could he have roughed up Shane McMahon at WrestleMania? Possible. You got to take care of the boss.
Mm-hmm.
Braun Strowman, to me, is one of those guys. If I only had a chance. Now, everybody, I want you to follow this, and I want you to listen, because this is it. If I only had a chance, I would do anything to be in the WWE. When you get there, man, it's great to be here. I love what I'm doing. I made it. I'm going to do my best to be a good guy and work my ass off. When you taste success, you forget I'm happy to be here. When you make the money, you forget I'm happy to be here. I don't know anybody who's giving out $1 million contracts and you're going to bitch and moan, this is hearsay, about your pay, about what you're doing. You're making $1.2 million plus.
He was getting a big contract, which a lot of people are saying why he was cut, because it was a budget. They weren't really using him.
But if he would have kept his mouth shut and not be a complainer, a bitcher, and a moaner, and this is where guys get into trouble with their contracts. You're making that kind of money. Be happy. What do you want me to do? How can I do it? What do you need me to do? You're making them 6 figures. In this economy, nobody's paying 6 figures. In wrestling, nobody's giving out those kind of contracts. You'll be lucky to get $250,000 from AEW. Lucky.
Yep.
And everybody forgets for the past year. Everybody follow along. Everybody's been working a part-time schedule, and they all were part-timers. They're getting ready to go back to full-time, and then everybody's going to bitch that they need more money because they're going to full-time. What about the year you had wrestling once a week? With no training. In the ring. And everybody forgets, how do you become a good wrestler? Repetition, because that's why you do house shows.
Yep.
4 times, 5 times a week. That's why you go and you do these shows and you get your timing down. You get to be who you're married with and you get to do what you need to.
Steamboat Savage and Flair Steamboat had house shows leading into their big pay-per-view matches, and look how great they turned out.
Exactly, guys, but this is old school wrestling. This is what it's about. This is not about, going to work and one match. Everybody thinks one match, well, it's great. You know how many times Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart wrestled on house shows before they got to that point? Do you know how many times Steven Regal and Vito in a dress wrestled on house shows before when we were on TV? Come on, guys, this is just the nature of the beast. You think Goldberg was smashing guys and they didn't know how to handle him? The guy was learning his craft on the job at the house shows. That's what it's about.
I think Braun was doomed after that match with Lesnar. I think because he was red hot. He had a great feud with Roman Reigns leading into that fall. And next thing you know, it was like a dud. And he kind of became a comedy, like just a joke. Yes, last year he did beat Goldberg at that Performance Center WrestleMania.
That was a filler.
That's because Roman, who was supposed to do that, went home. And then what happened as soon as Roman came back, they put it on Roman. Braun was an afterthought.
Braun Strowman was never meant to be world champion in that company. When you lift over a Mack truck, there's nothing else for you to accomplish. You're the strongest man in the world. How do you lose? You're lifting over steel. The reality and realization of wrestling is gone, and they don't make it believable. Now, with them signing Mark Henry, and they have the big show, Strowman is available, right? That's 3 giants. Those guys should never lose in the AEW because there's nobody big enough to handle them. The only guy with size in that company is Billy Gunn.
Good point.
Archer, he's got some size, but he's not at that level.
I remember they have Swagger, but I forgot about him, or Hager, whatever he is.
And Hager is wrestling all the little guys, but when he lost to Moxley doing shoot wrestling, that seized his deal. Not realistic. And this is not being a jerk to anybody. This is just Wrestling 101, guys. Wrestling 101.
So, with that said, main event time. How do all these releases, and there may be more. Who knows if there's going to be more coming up here. But what is WWE's intention? So here are my scenarios, Vito. Perhaps they just had a bloated roster, and why not cut people they don't have plans for? Okay, or are they going to sell the company? Are they trying to trim the fat? And is Nick Khan positioning WWE to be bought by somebody like Disney or whatever? Or is all of this being done because their fans are coming back? They're doing SummerSlam in Las Vegas in front of 70,000+ people, and they need headliners. And they need to spend money on these guys to bring them in. And what I'm saying is John Cena for a match or 2 deal. It ain't going to be cheap to get him back. Brock Lesnar, the most likely one. And, of course, down the road, if it works out with his schedule, The Rock. Are these releases to bring in the big mega drawing stars because they're going to have to pay them? Or are they selling as a company? What do you think here?
Guys, they're having these budget cuts because they're trying to improve their profit margin. And, what people don't realize is they have to pay the stockholders. So when they pay the stockholders their money, what do they show? They show the profit margin. So the money they just saved on these releases is the profit that they're saving to pay the stockholders. They're not taking nothing out of their pockets.
That's true.
Nobody gives away talent. But I have a bonus main event. Bonus main event.
Well, but back to this one. I truly believe, I don't think there's, as long as McMahon is alive, Vince, they're not selling, or at least in charge. I just can't see that.
Right.
This is Nick Khan positioning himself as the president to make the stockholders happy, just to make WWE look even more profitable, like you said, but not to sell. But I think they're going to try to land some of these big names because people are coming back and they need box office attractions. Right now, you have Roman, who's always kind of been a Band-Aid, but he's never had that opportunity to be a big star because they don't give him big stars to work with consistently. They were all aging stars or people that were leaving, like The Undertaker, John Cena. So I think they're going to try to have some blockbuster matches with a John Cena or a Brock Lesnar. And here's the money. We got it freed up now.
John Cena is not going to sell anything because he's been out of the loop. He's not wrestling. Okay.
I think he could.
The only guy who I would think about paying the money to would be The Rock, because The Rock draws. Everybody loves it.
The Roman story sells itself, but I don't think they're going to do that as soon as a SummerSlam. That's a WrestleMania feature. But what if they're talking with Dwayne right now to get that locked in for the future against Roman? This money getting freed up could be part of that bargaining. So,
guys, you want to hear what I think and what I think will happen.
Yeah.
And of course, if you want to use this WWE, go ahead. I think Brock Lesnar should come. I think Brock Lesnar should have Heyman turn on Roman, and everybody walk away from Roman because he's been such a dickbag to all his brothers, the Samoan tribe, and everybody, and make Roman look like the groveling babyface, to build him up to finally beat Lesnar, to earn his keep like Rollins had to earn his keep again. Remember? So I think the biggest swerve will be Heyman turning on Roman and leaving Roman by himself to figure out, what am I going to do now?
And so with you saying that, this whole head of the table gimmick, to me, it screams getting to The Rock. But again, that's not a sure. We don't. The Rock in Hollywood, that's number one priority. We don't know if that can ever really happen because of that. Yeah, but this heel run with Roman, could this be designed so, like you said, he's abandoned and then he gets that sympathy and the fans end up liking him? Remember, he was always that Vince McMahon forced guy, and fans just didn't. John Cena 2.0, and he couldn't get over like McMahon really wanted him to. Could this all be that attempt to get Roman over now with sympathy from the fans?
Guys, the whole thing you want is Roman. You want The Rock involved in a super main event, right? What better way to have Brock Lesnar beating up on Roman Reigns, The Rock coming to Roman's rescue, going to the ring, right? And Brock Lesnar beat the hell out of The Rock. Hold on. Roman getting out of his doldrums and coming out and kicking the shit out of Lesnar with 100,000 people going crazy for the title. There it is. There's your moment. And
my prediction, whether it's, I'm going to play it straightforward. Roman will be the heel. Heyman will still be by his side. But my big prediction for SummerSlam main event in Vegas, it's going to be Brock Lesnar returning, but as a babyface. People thinking maybe Heyman will jump back to him, but it won't happen. And Brock will be the babyface against a heel Roman at SummerSlam. That's what I think. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I have a bonus.
Yes, you do. Round. I didn't know if you talked about it yet. So what is your bonus main event?
We have not discussed this online.
This will be the big Vito speaks his mind type thing we always do. So here we go.
This is the added super bonus.
Okay.
Did you see the WWE hiring that female writer?
No. The only thing I knew is they put Dana Warrior in a creative spot, but I don't think she does anything. But I mean, outside of her feet, I haven't heard of anybody else.
There was a hiring of a woman to the creative team who solicited money. If you can, go on your phone. I want to be correct when I'm doing this. Can you look it up? WWE hiring, please. Was this
within the last week?
This was in the last few days.
And it was a writer?
Yes. Too creative. And
okay.
She caused a big stir because she had some revealing pictures that weren't very nice. Her name
Usually
is
Aaron covers this stuff, and I would have caught that. But the only
her
thing
name her name is Millie Tamirez.
okay.
Look up Millie Tamirez. She is hot right now, and she has got everybody up and on. I'm disturbed at it because she has no wrestling experience whatsoever. Do you got it?
I still don't. I must be spelling her name wrong. I don't see any of that.
She's claiming to have coined the phrase all dick is trash.
Really?
Yes. How do you hire somebody?
Keep talking. I'm going to Google that. It might come
Go,
up with some nasty stuff. But.
Here you go. And now, guys, who's doing the hiring in WWE to hire to creative to hire somebody like this? This insults everyone, but it infuriates me to no end that you would take, and she was taking funds from people for white forgiveness through Vimo. Now she deserves the 2 for $20 at Chili's. No, she don't. Not on my dime.
Yeah, WWE writer called out over controversial social media posts. She wrote, "All dick is trash" is a slogan mantra. So that means she was already on the team. So she was already a WWE writer. Then this controversy came up.
Guys, I thought we did background check. I thought we looked into this. I thought we saw this. How does she still have a job?
Oh, it won't be for long.
And how does she get away with doing something like that? When you let go of Enzo, your moneymaker, your top dog, for a bullshit allegation.
Dude, they got way too many people that are called writers. And so they need to trim the fat based on their creative regardless. When controversy comes up, they're cutting other people, like you said, Enzo or whatever, and Velveteen Dream's gone. So
yeah, but Velveteen Dream had there were circumstances why he was let go.
Well, yeah, and he was hurt a lot. We talked about that.
There's Riddle, who has circumstances, but he's working through them because he's being used on TV, right? There are circumstances. Look at Keith Lee. He's in, he's out, he's in, he's out.
It could be one of the next releases for all we know.
Could be one of the next official releases, right? But when you talk about doing this stuff, it makes me upset because you know what everybody forgets. I grew up in the WWF. I grew up there and I learned the ropes. I watched, I learned, I went through the system. And when you see the system and you're doing these things, right? And you see what today's product is and how people are treated and what goes on, it's disturbing. It is disturbing. And if there was somebody watching and listening, you know, everybody has their differences. But to make it a better place and to make things right and to put things in the right perspective, hire the people who have been there, hire the people who have the experience.
Yep.
Okay? This has been going on long enough, and it's just this is why our business and the product has suffered, because you have these people getting in creative, you have these people coming on who don't have a fucking clue.
And here we
that's
are.
The way I'll end it.
All right, well there you go. Big Vito said it best, and you always bring a gem out of nowhere that I miss, and I blame Aaron Rift. You know, he misses some stories every once in a while. Maybe I should start using some other sites besides NoDQ.com when I get our topics for each week. Nonetheless, Vito, another great show.
Thank you.
And
guys, sorry. Yeah, guys, remember to subscribe to us at the Big Vito brand. I know I have calmed down with the cursing and everything. I'm trying to be better at this. And sometimes you get upset, especially when it comes from the heart. Guys, I was a WWF kid. And I grew up in that company. I learned from the bottom and I worked my way to the top. And it kills me that I can't share my experiences with the people today who work at the WWE. And it's because there are reasons and there are blockers and there's nonsense. But if you really want to get to the real people who do the right things and know the business like the back of their hand, then take the people who learn the business from 20 and 30 years ago and put them in the jobs and places where you need So this way these kids and these people can learn how it's supposed to be. And when you have all these people who are creative and writers who don't have a clue, how are they supposed to teach these kids how to portray what you're writing on paper because they don't know the wrestling business?
You're absolutely spot on with that, Vito. Old school, I like it.
People,
make sure you follow Vito on Twitter at the Big Vito Brand. You can follow me if you dare at NoDQ_Virtue. Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/the Big Vito Brand. That's where you will see MOB Men of Business. We will have a new episode up this week. But that is it for Getting Color. You know we will be back. If you want us to talk about any other particular topics, tweet Vito or myself throughout the week. It doesn't have to be hand-picked ones I pick or whatever's on Vito's mind. You can tell us, so just let us know. But for Big Vito, I am Virtue. This has been Getting Color right here on thebigvitobrand.com. We will see you next time.
And cut. And broadcast.
Check out Big Vito and Virtue live with Getting Color every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, only on twitch.tv/the Big Vito Brand.
Yeah. I feel like Big Vito. Yeah, I feel like Big Vito. Yeah, like Big Vito. Yeah. I said, I'm up next like I got the call from Vito. We not some average Joes, stay escaping from Leos. So call me Big Vito, I got a kick like a shotty. And like Ciroc, you're taking hard shots to the body. They had you in a dress, but you were still styling. And if they talk crap, hit them with the code of silence. Told these haters get on me, your style stays sloppy. Tricking out the rides, I got an iced out jalopy. Cut you off no matter how thin, like salami. So many shots headed towards me, it gotta be a Tommy. Speaking of mafia things, I call it Donnie. So you about to go to sleep, call me Hideo with Tommy. With the GTS, I bet you haven't seen me yet, you seeing stars. I smoked you like a Vito cigar. You're not messing with the squad, especially on the pod. It's no hold bars like this, no DQ doc.